What's up, NBA fan? What's up, all sports fans? This your boy JB, host of the Behind the Bench podcast network and channel, giving a shout out to the rest of the crew. Shad, Kevin, Jermaine, KB Film Room, and Big Dog Talk Sports. That's right, that's right. Everyone who's tuning in, thank you for supporting Behind the Bench. Subscribe to the channel, help make this show the best that it can be. Now, I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking, but I am about to talk. And you know what's crazy is, man, you've seen this same story play out year after year after year after year after year since all this started. And I'm going to tell you what happens, man, to let you know that the Lakers ventured down the wrong path is that whenever the plan is clearly not working, what do people do to try to placate, to try to rationalize what's taking place right before their eyes? This is what they say. Well, at least he brought one, although it was in a bubble. And then they're going to also say, well, what was y'all before he got there? I'm going to tell you exactly where the Lakers were. My squad, the Los Angeles Lakers, the purple and gold. We had a down period. And it's because of circumstances beyond the control of the organization. You know, your transcendent player of 20 years, he injures his Achilles. And a lot of that was attributed because he was trying to carry the franchise exclusively a year after the league blocked the trade involving Chris Paul. Right? So if that trade goes through, you don't see the decline. You don't see this domino effect where the Lakers declined the way they did, where they had to start all over again from the very bottom. You wouldn't have seen it. But nonetheless, there is positives that occur from every negative situation, meaning, okay, the block was trade. It set the organization to a 5-year tailspin, right? But we had an opportunity to begin the process of reestablishing the franchise for another great run of long-term success. And that was preempted when the hurricane was brought into Laker headquarters during the summer of 2018. And all I've done is represent and uphold the vision that was brought forth by one, Jesse Buss, when he said, we have formulated a 5-year plan to return back to the top. And the plan was very tangible. It was realistic in terms of time frame, timetable. Wasn't nothing extraordinary where you was trying to swing for the fences, going for broke. It wasn't championship or bust. You know what's funny is, I went through a back and forth with an individual where he claimed that the Lakers have always been championship or bust, which is really a misnomer, and it's a misrepresentation of the franchise. Because during the 1990s, the Lakers didn't win one championship. I didn't hear championship or bust. Showtime era ended, right? Well, the situation called for the Lakers to have to start over again, and they did so by drafting Eddie Jones, Nick Van Exel, right? Anthony Peeler, George Lynch, and we still had Vlade Divac and Eldon Campbell. And we took it from there. Within 3 years, we became a playoff team. And then the great late Kobe Bean Bryant was brought forth along with Shaquille O'Neal, was set the stage for a tremendous championship run of the 2000s. But I didn't hear this talk about, man, we got to give up the ghost to pursue victory. No. So I'm trying to lay a backdrop. And that same individual acknowledged, well, you should only expect a championship when you have the team for it. And this is where people have become confused about what's going on with this franchise, because they've been led to buy into the notion that we are a championship or bust franchise. Well, before you reach that point, you have to either set a standard or maintain the standard. See, when you get doused in the first round 2 years straight, you're not close. That means you're 3 rounds away. Like second round, third round, championship round, then you got to win it. So it's actually 4 levels. They're 4 levels away. And that's being kind. So what I'm getting at is, before I talk about last night's game action, reality will eventually lead us to accept, how can I say this? Acknowledge what's going on and how far off this team is. See, Oklahoma City, they have set a standard for themselves, but they started from the bottom in doing so. It was a 5-year process, which really isn't a long time when you think about it, because boom, they're here now. They was the butt of jokes 5 years ago when they was acquiring draft picks, Sam Presti. They was saying, oh man, he need to step down from his job. He don't know what he doing. He's sitting there, man, looking like Houdini out there, man. He don't even have to. Sam Presti has set up OKC so well. He don't have to cater to the media. He don't have to do no interviews with these talking heads. See? He ain't got to put up with that nonsense. They can't cook up narratives to try to push OKC. They are who they are. They the defending champions, right? And they've gotten back on track. That's what a champion does. So what I'm saying is, the Lakers are so far off. And the root problem is so deeply rooted. When you mortgage your future off in the franchise, it becomes so precarious in nature to where you can't even attract an established head coach. What I'm saying is, Luke Walton, who was signed to a 5-year deal after he served as interim head coach of the world champion Golden State Warriors in their prime, he was the interim coach when they started the season off. What was their record? Like 23-0, something like that, 25-0. And they went on to win 73 games. Well, he was the interim coach. He understood their system inside out. They principles on offense and defense. Matter of fact, he helped Steve Kerr devise game plan during the playoff runs. During the 2015 finals between the Warriors and the Cavaliers, the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers, when Cleveland took a 2-1 series lead, Luke Walton made a suggestion to head coach Steve Kerr that they change the lineup and insert Andre Iguodala. When they did that, they changed the offensive scheme. They started playing more high-low action. They won 3 straight games to close their series out. Luke Walton is a more established coaching presence than the guy that they got representing the franchise's head coach as we speak, who has no coaching experience at this level. I'm telling you, man, the bar's been set so low, and I think because the talking heads don't mention it, it's not really brought to people's attention. The bar has been set so low to where now you have to rely on someone because you can't attract an established head coach because they don't want no part of this nonsense. They don't want no part of this nonsense. Even if they never been to a finals as a head coach, they want no part of the nonsense. So it translates to what I keep saying. The league has passed this team by. The record is camouflage. And it was built up the beginning of the season through manipulation, right? To help this team appear to be something that they wasn't. That can only last so long. And now, as you approach, let's see, almost 40 games into the season, now these other teams are going to start to ramp it up. And you're going to see the difference between how teams play in terms of energy and intensity during the second half of the season compared to the first half, when they have to incentivize players to compete at the beginning of the season because the regular season has been devalued to such a degree because of the super team era that was brought forth into the league during the summer 2010, where seeding became, how can I say this? The degree of importance of clinching the highest seed possible to give yourself the greatest chance to win, that was undermined when three franchise superstars joined forces in their prime, to where they knew that no matter what record they had, it wasn't going to matter come playoff time because they knew they were such an overwhelming favorite and had so much overwhelming talent disparity that they can coax through the regular season. But your all-time championship teams, that's not how they approach the season. They had to prove it. All the great teams, whether you want to talk about the 60s Celtics, the 70s Knicks, Showtime Lakers, Bird McHale Parish, Celtic pride of the 80s, Bad Boy Pistons, Chicago Bulls, Kobe and Shaq, Lakers, the Lake Show, whatever team you want to throw out there, man. Spurs. In recent memory, Denver clinched the number one seed that they used to rally behind to win their first ever championship in franchise history. I can go on and on and on. And I'm trying to set a backdrop because I think it's very important to understand. Trades can't fix what's going on. See, the more you left behind, the more you got to keep up because you mortgaged off the decade. So the only solution is to the minds of those who want to see a certain guy win, that's put you in this situation. They're pushing the Lakers once again to give up draft picks. Not for this decade, going in the next decade. See, they can care less about this franchise, dog. Look, if you pushing a team, this is the 25-26 season, and you're pushing a team to give up draft picks in 2031 and 2032, that's 6-7 years out. 6 years out. That means you're not even close. If you got to dig into your reservoir or your reserve for the future 6 years out just to compete, not to win, to compete, and you still losing the first round, that means you have nothing. It's all smoke and mirrors. So when you get a team like the Charlotte Hornets, who actually, I'm going to tell you, man, their record is not a true representation of the talent, the type of team that they had, because they missed the number, LaMelo Ball, who showed out last night as the Charlotte Hornets defeated the Los Angeles Lakers by the score of 132-117, which puts the Lakers at a point differential of -0.4 for the season, which means they're not even close to being, they're not even really a playoff team, people, at the end of the day. You know, that's why they've been losing by gentlemen sweeps the past 2 years and lost in the first round 3 out of the past 5 years. Because without the play-in, they wouldn't even got to those playoffs. So what I'm saying is, the Charlotte Hornets have beaten some good teams this year, man. Not just the Lakers. I think they upset Denver, and they beat some other good teams. Man, they come to play and they compete. And see, a lot of it is when you have a guy whose mentality has infiltrated your franchise. When he's a front runner by nature, well, you're going to attract players that want to attempt to earn what you call an easy championship, a free ride, right? Front running mentality is predicated on a sense of entitlement. I'm supposed to be there, man. That means you're not really competing. So what happens is you go into a game, and I'm not saying you're not going to win every game. That's the NBA. But what I'm saying is you go into a game with a mindset like that, you tend to play lackadaisical, and it mostly shows on the defensive, your defensive effort and your defensive presence throughout the course of a game. And when a team is competing against you, coming at you, they can sense it, they can smell it, they can detect it, and they're going to attack it. Especially when they're young, trying to prove themselves, right? And they're getting the experience, and they're getting better year by year, and they're trying to build something. So when a team comes out in the second half with that energy and sense of purpose that overwhelms a team whose mentality is really one of entitlement and front running, well, when that team that's coming out there with that attitude of being lackadaisical, when they get punched in the mouth, there's no response. And what happens is when you lose, you start blaming. Well, we ain't got this. We ain't got that. We ain't got no athleticism. We need shooting. The coach don't know what he doing. The front office, he need to step down. He ain't making no moves. It's a trickle down effect. And that's why I say when you start talking about go talk, dog, to sit there, and I ain't trying to, man, I'm not trying to hate. I'm being real. Michael Jordan energy was a totally different realm. He gave the confidence in the teammates because he was never going to sell his teammates short. He was never going to sell his coaches short. Right? So what I'm saying is, man, he helped instill the confidence in Phil Jackson that he could become the type of coach that he's renowned for. He gave the confidence in a NAIA non-Division I college player in Scottie Pippen to become the best number two player in the world. Where everybody knew all they needed to do was play their role and make their contribution when their number was called. They didn't have to come out there and bail nobody out. Jordan teams weren't calling for trades or, well, the GM better be on the phone. And what Kobe did in leading a rebuilding effort from the bottom up after winning 3 championships, he and Shaquille O'Neal back to back to back. That took so much character. And I know he was frustrated at times. He showed frustration because he was used to winning. But the point is, he still stuck through it, though. That's all that mattered at the end of the day. And once he showed that he was willing to represent young players, inexperienced players who had never played at that level before, he instilled that confidence in the Trevor Reeses instead of, ostracizing Dalton Knecht and Austin Reeves. Like this dude's right-hand man is done on this podcast. So the score goes deeper than just the number itself, face value. This team is so far away in terms of the hype behind it. See, a real championship team don't need no hype. And they may not repeat, but they're going to be a consistent presence at least for a 5-year run. consistently. But this team here is being driven by a player, you got to remember, who has lost more than what he has won. 2 times over. It reflects itself throughout the course of each season. That's where the frustration comes in. That's where the confusion surfaces. What's going on? Well, like I say, the window has been closed ever since that bubble. And Charlotte, a team that's below 500, right, came up in here and looked like a team that had the record that the Lakers have, and the Lakers look like they have the record that Charlotte has. It goes deeper than not playing good defense. It's the mentality that has been projected and became a fabric of this organization. Entitlement, front running. Like you just step out there on the court and people gonna lay down and bow down. That's not what's happening. Kobe and Shaq didn't play like that. No. Kobe and Powell, when Powell got traded, he was the final piece to the puzzle. Kobe he was not gonna let his teammate be lax. No. Hey, we gotta have a championship mindset, dog. End of story. Showtime. That's it. Man, can you imagine putting this team out there versus Showtime? I mean, come on, man. What we doing, dog? And this is not to talk bad, because this ain't about me talking about the front office. This is not about me doing that. This is about the fact they have to move on from this dude, man. He's not going to do anything positive. And the longer he's here, his support is going to push for moves to be made that's going to leave this franchise totally barren of any future presence in this league when this new decade hit 4 years from now. This is what we talking about. So is it fair to take away from the future 5-6 years away to help a dude win? And it's still not a guarantee you're gonna do it? You did it 2.5 years ago. You traded Westbrook, you brought in 6 players and like 4 different trades, and they try to sneak up on the league and clinch a championship. Then you ran into the Joker and Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and got dead in 4 straight games. And then they did you again in the first round in a gentleman's sweep. They was probably being nice and say, you know what, we're going to let these dudes get one. And I'm going to tell you, the Minnesota Timberwolves, I'm going to tell you, me personally, I believe the perfect point guard for them. They're a point guard away from winning it all. Colin Sexton, I believe, who played for the Charlotte Hornets, by the way, I believe he'd be the perfect point guard. They don't need no superstar point guard. They don't need that. Nope. They need someone to play at the level that Mike Conley used to play during his prime in Memphis and then in Utah. All Colin Sexton had to do, man, give him about 14 points a game, man. He ain't got to get no 20 points a game. 14 points a game, keep the defense honest, play solid defense on front. Minnesota win the championship. It's just going to get harder. Spurs are there. Denver winning games without Jokic. OKC defending champions. On the East Coast, you got Detroit right there, who they going to have to play. And Detroit Pistons beat the Lakers twice last year. So all I can say is, man, at some point, like I say, this thing has been over, man. It's all smoke and mirrors. And they're going to pin it on Luka, saying Luka ain't playing no defense. Luka is the same player that he was when he was with the Dallas Mavericks, the team that most people thought he played the majority of his career with. He's not the problem. They just switched out AD for Luka after they was bagging on AD all them years. You see? And that's why I say I would have been happy with my real squad. At least you know where you stand, man. And I think they would have played. Matter of fact, they was playing above expectation. People got to realize, man, they came along during a time where everybody in the West was like the contenders was in their prime. They wasn't in decline. They was reaching their prime. Houston, MVP James Harden, Chris Paul was still playing lights out. Trevor Ariza, they won. They had the best record in the league that year in 2018. Defending champion Golden State. Everybody was in their prime. Kawhi Leonard was entering his prime in San Antonio. You still had LaMarcus Aldridge playing at the All-Star level, Patty Mills and whatnot. Then you had Donovan Mitchell. I think that was his second year in the NBA at that time, second year. And Rudy Gobert, who was like starting his Defensive Player of the Year level years. And then, Portland with CJ McCollum and Dame Dollar and Yusuf Nurkic. They had darn good teams out there, man. So, like I say, at this point, man, look, you don't have a real head coach out there. He's showing it. He should have started off as an assistant coach, just like all other aspiring coaches is required to do. They became great. Your real young talent is gone. Dalton Connect, basically, he's not even on the team. Only reason he's on the team is because the trade last year that he was involved in was rescinded. That's the only reason he's on the team. Austin Reeves, they want to trade him. That guy and his right-hand man wants to trade him because essentially he's playing above his value. That's basically what, can you imagine that? And it makes you wonder, would this really be the Hurricanes last year on the team? It makes you wonder, man. Now, on face value, reports are that they want to move on from him, but nothing is official yet. Nothing is official yet. The Lakers have to acknowledge, man, their window been closed. And I know it's going to be difficult. Revisit where we were 7.5 years ago and all that talent that we let go. It's monumental. That's the root of the problem. See, all going around in circles and stuff, I see it as clear as day. But like I said, Charlotte went in there last night, man. It make it so bad, LaMelo Ball didn't even play good the first half. And still dropped 30. And I'm telling you, them shots he hit in the fourth quarter, boy, them shots were going in like butter, boy. Butter. The Nets weren't even moving. Miles Bridges played good. What's your other cat's name? The inside guy? Was it Graham? I think. And then the rookie that they got coming off the bench, man, he's playing like Dalton Connect. So, gig been up, people, man. What to say, man? I hate to keep sounding like a broken record, man. But it's the same cycle. Oh man, we gotta make a trade, man. And they want teams to give up their best players in return. They get scraps. Give us your best, but in return we're just gonna give you scraps. And people got to realize the main reason that they just get all them players 2.5 years ago, when they brought back D'Angelo Russell, got Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, Malik Beasley at the time, Mo Bamba, and then what's his name? Reed. Was it Jason Reed from Denver Nuggets, something like that? When they traded Thomas Bryant to the Denver Nuggets, the main reason they was able to facilitate all the moves is because of Russell Westbrook and his contract, the $47 million. That was the main reasons. So, like I said, sorry for the long video, people. I'm just the type of person with this situation here, like a regular game recap, man, involving two teams that's on the up and up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you can do a quick recap, man, but this is so deeply rooted. Marcus Smart gonna come in and lock people down. No, he not. He can't move lateral like he used to. That's why he has to rely on a lot of physicality. You know what I'm saying? They just pay. Did he look like he could match up with LaMelo Ball last night? Did he look like that? Do like I said, do fans want to? If the Lakers make the playoffs, do they really want to see them play Oklahoma City Thunder? Do they want to see that? Do they want to get their heart broke? This shit. You remember what they did to them a couple months ago? Beat them by 30-some points? And Oklahoma City wasn't even playing hard. They was going through the motions. And this was like their number 2 player. Now, I know the Hurricane didn't play. It wouldn't have made no difference, though. It would have made no difference. He still got blown out. God dang it, man. Woo. And Luka taking all the heat, man. I mean, they scapegoated him so bad. It was crazy. Man, this dude, he give you 30-some points a game. Now, they knew what type of player he was when they traded for him. Why they want to be shocked now? But see, when you building a team up, man, you building up a good balance, man, where you got your main offensive players out there and you know, you got players who can play two-way basketball, who can be enough of a scoring threat to keep the opponent's defense honest. You know what I'm saying? And you have a bench. The Lakers only got 9 points off their bench last night. But like I say, 7.5 years ago, we had a top, when we really got going, we was top 3 in bench scoring. We was dropping during 50 points from the bench alone. This was with, that's what I'm saying. The way we was building the team up, man, we knew the one and dones were going to take a little longer than the experienced players we was bringing in with 3-4 years of college experience. I had never seen nothing like that before. I was like, damn, man, I see what they doing. You can see it, man. You can see it. In another year of development, without bringing a Hurricane to the team, man, fans would have been like, ain't no way in the world we finna get rid of this. No, you can't do it. But they did. That's the crazy part about it, but they did, man. So, like I said, I just like to explain what's going on, man, because I feel it's important. You know, this franchise, man, anytime you mortgage the future to bring in Anthony Davis, right? And they said Anthony Davis was going to retire Laker, you know, they're going to pass the torch. I didn't believe none of that because I'm going to tell you why. Because what did they say? What was the Lakers saying when they brought the Hurricane to the team? What was the talking head saying the moment that they brought the Hurricane to the team? Your window is short. You have to win right now. He don't have time to wait on young players to develop. When they said that, that means your so-called window with this dude was basically about the snap of a finger. And you thought you cashed in 2020 with that bubble, which led the franchise to continue to mortgage itself off, trying to pursue something that no prominent move could fill the void left over, not even after getting Anthony Davis, man. That's what I'm saying, dog. They acted against their own best interest. It don't look like it. Oh, man, we got LeBron, we got AD. No, you don't. That was a rental. And see, like I say, the dynamic between Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant was totally different. That was an investment. They didn't give up the ghost to get Shaquille O'Neal. And whatever players that they moved on from, those were players whose production had waned from the previous year. They became stagnant. Or let's say in an isolated incident, we had a player who chose not to show up for a game and went on vacation. And they said, you know what? We got to move on from that. It was logical, right? And then we moved on from Eddie Jones. That's because Kobe Bryant proved that he was a better player, although he always was, but he had to earn that two-guard spot. And once he showed that, hey, I won't be denied, that's when they moved on from Eddie Jones. It wasn't a knee-jerk reaction. You see what I'm saying? And they had to go through the battles and go through the wars and go through a lot of playoff disappointments before they raised that Larry O'Brien trophy. And they were so battle tested because of those experiences, because of those defeats. You felt that confidence that they was going to win wasn't going to be denied for the foreseeable future because of those battles they went through to reach the top. Same thing with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Chicago Bulls. They had to go through the fire. That's not what this so-called version or iteration of the Lakers are being with the Hurricane so-called leading the way. No, his specialty is coming up in your domain, making you flip the script, get rid of everything that you've been building up to swing for the fences and give up the ghost. And you may get one out the deal, man, because if he was playing in the Western Conference, there's no way he's going to 8 straight finals. Kobe and Shaq were winners, and they didn't do it. Tim Duncan won 5 championships. He didn't do it. Golden State, they went to 5 straight finals, right? They didn't do it. And that's where the smoke screen, that's where the manipulation. The Eastern Conference was so inferior to the Western Conference. Although it's better now. It's better now. But during that time, dog, it was so bad, man. You can see they were taking games off. The Miami Heat, Cleveland Cavaliers, when they went back to Cleveland, they were taking games off. They weren't playing no defense a lot of time. And he's carried that type of attitude over to this franchise. It is what it is. But in closing, the Charlotte Hornets, man, they come up in here, man, 132 to 117. What can you say, man? What can you say, dog? And there's no real enthusiasm about the team, man. That's what's crazy. It was so much enthusiasm 7.5 years ago, off the roof. Telling you, it's a trade-off for the ages. But I just want to drop that nugget. Please leave your comments and thoughts. As I love to say, until next time, this is your boy, JB, BTB, Behind the Bench.